Classics and whiskey knows the symbol of horror and the written words. Happy headbutting, come join the herd.
Hail to the herd! Welcome to Season 3. How is everyone tonight?
Pretty good.
Doing well.
I have to say, I almost deleted that intro because I never thought I was going to get a chance to use it again. And I'm really happy because it's one of my favorite intros.
It's a good intro.
I did have to do like a little clipping because, you know, we're on a different topic tonight. But I do enjoy that one immensely. So. Welcome to everyone. It's going to be a bit of a packed show tonight because we have so much stuff to talk about. The chat is, of course, already hopping. I am not sure how far behind I am on that at this point, but the answer is a lot. So what we're going to do tonight is we are going to start by doing intros for anyone who is somehow been living under a rock and is not familiar with any of these people. And we're going to talk a little bit about their games because they all have really big, exciting projects going right now. Then I have a couple of announcements. We'll say hi to the chat. We will talk about Critical Role. And then we are going to carve out some time at the end to do some kind of a deep dive or deeper dive into all of the projects that are going on. So, Grim.
Yes.
You are here.
I am.
And
Who am I?
You have a Kickstarter that just started.
I do have a Kickstarter that just started that you've helped me on, which we should disclose for ethical reasons.
I was going to get there.
I've been in the gaming industry 25 years, longer. 25 years is just convenient.
Math. We don't like talking math.
I've worked for a whole bunch of different people, put out over 100 gaming products, worked with some interesting people. And yeah, I have a Kickstarter out for Stray Crows, which is a mytho-historical Japan game. I figured, why should D&D get all the old school love when there are plenty of other old games that deserve some love? So I took Bushido as a starting point and then made a whole new modernized game for it, which is, will very soon be crowdfunding. It's in pre-launch right now.
Yes,
and
so
I'm terrible at selling things, so it's good. Back it.
Well, I'm going to ask you, right, on your Kickstarter, so it's in pre-launch now, when is it going to go live?
It should go live on the 1st of next month.
So 1st of August is when we all need to be pressing those buttons, yeah?
Yes, you can sign up to be informed on launch as well.
Fantastic.
Already done it. So you're up to 20 at the moment following the project. So we'll get the notification the moment you go live and be able to support you.
Yeah, it's the first time. It's the first time I've used Kickstarter, so yeah, it's a bit of a hump to get over when it's the first time.
Be gentle, it's his first time.
That's what she said.
Yeah, all of the different sort of crowdfunding platforms are very different from each other, and it's very weird.
It is. I mean, I have heard from people that there are kind of pros and cons to different things, but yes, as Grim mentioned, for ethical reasons, I assisted with setting up the Kickstarter, and I did the first round of editing on the first book. So, for ethical reasons,
yes,
consider yourselves informed. Professor, 1.1. How's that feeling? Oh, we have no sound.
You've lost your sound.
1.1 million has him so blown away he's lost his voice.
Nope.
Nope. All right.
No.
We'll come back to you.
Yeah, we will cover Dean and Vicky's, and then we will come back once the shock of the number has worn off. Untold Destiny is at, did you say 300 and
387 downloads so far from Drive-Thru RPG. So it is
under 2 weeks.
It's I think we're in our third
exactly.
week.
Yes.
You're in your third week.
3
Okay.
weeks. Yeah.
Time is funky for me. But still, I mean, don't they say that like if you get 50 downloads, that's considered?
Yeah.
Like most people never hit that.
Yes, it's a bit different. We've got the first level taster rules, so you don't have to pay anything. They are free, and you get 6 character classes. You can create characters, you can equip them, you got their spells, you can play them as first level characters, all for free. We've got some creatures in there, advice for running the game, so you can take the uniqueness of Untold Destiny, the multi-dice system, the stamina reaction system in combat, and start rolling straight away. And this is a way of us being able to show you what we're offering before our backer kit, which is later on this year.
13th of October.
Yeah.
So our goal, chat, is that we're going to get them over 400 by the end of this stream.
Yeah,
that would be fantastic.
And if you do download it, now we are absolutely open to the fact that this is our first, formal putting stuff out there. So if you go to our website, there's a link to provide us feedback, because we're going to make sure that the book that will be coming out on the backer kit on the 13th of October is going to be the very best it can be. We have play tested this system now for years. It's really refined, but we know we've been doing all the layouts, we've got everything together. So we're doing a bit of a rejig, but it's like everything, we will just let everybody know as soon as there's a new release out and stuff like that. And at the end of this month, we have an adventure coming out as well, don't we, Dean?
End of next month.
August, yes. Don't do that to me. July, I think I have.
Don't do that to me. End of
July
August,
is already over.
Yeah, we got an adventure coming out, so that if you want to see how the adventure structure works and stuff like that. Untold Destiny, if you love the classic fantasy, but you want a more streamlined mechanics around it, a faster combat system, a more engaging combat system where things can change one action to the next, this is the game for you. Perfect for one shot, perfect for campaign play.
Okay. Do we have Professor Sound? No. You might have to bop out and come back in again. Sometimes EV Mux just likes to mess with what setting. There are people, it will occasionally try and change you to speakers you don't actually own. So sometimes popping out and popping back in again will do it. You should just be able to close the window. And then just click on the link again to come back.
It's not a stream without technical difficulties.
Well, it's definitely not an EV Mux stream without technical difficulties. All right. Chat. I am definitely behind on the chat now. Dean and Grim were here very early. Legatus was also here very early, but not as early as Dean and Grim, which is unusual because I think Legatus usually puts up a note like days before I actually go live. Witch Queen is here. We have missed you. You have not been here for a while.
Hi.
Taking. Yay! You just have to be on the same line with Vicky. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
It's my natural magnetism. I fix things from afar.
You do.
So we were saying 1.1 million. How's that feel?
It's pretty incredible. Thank you everybody for pledging. Everyone who's pledged. It's really amazing.
Is it 22 days left to go still?
Still 22 days left to go. So
You
still
broke
plenty of time to pledge.
you broke 1 million in 3 days, 2 days?
About 4 days. It was about
What
4
was it?
days.
4 days? Oh, I thought it was like 3. I was keeping an eye on it, and I was just astounded at how fast those numbers were climbing.
I'm very lucky. We're very lucky and blessed to have the support of so many people. It's really amazing.
Yeah.
I knew you'd do well, but wow.
We were back as number 2. So we were number 2. Someone beat us, but we were waiting. We were so eager to back this project. Everything we'd heard, it sounds fantastic. Sounds like a really good game.
Thank you.
I want you to know, I will admit, I have not yet backed it, but this is because my husband went out last weekend and got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to do 2 days of overtime so that we could go back your project and still take the dog to the vet. He is very excited about your Deathbringer. And he's very excited that you may have come up with the first game ever that I do not hate the magic system. I am notorious for
That's
hating
good.
I am notorious for hating magic systems because they so rarely have consequences.
Well, this one, the consequences are really bad.
I'm all for that. All right, let us go back to the chat and see who else is here now that I have completely messed up my own system here. Noir Frequency is here. Hello, hello. Ace up in a sleeve. Hello, Ace. I think you might be new. If so, we are delighted to have you, and if not, we are delighted to have you anyway. Sometimes people change names on me, and then I get very confused. Low Eves 2 says, been waiting all day. I am honored. Trap Chest is here. I believe we have you scheduled in for an episode a couple of months from now. Looking forward to having you back. Eraser is dropping links in the chat for us as always. Hanayama-san is here. I managed to not choke on the pronunciation that time. The hamster is here. I'm sure there will be puns a-flowing here very shortly, because that tends to be the case. And then I think we have a whole lot of lurkers, because the numbers are higher than that, so to all of the lurkers who are there, hello. I hope that... Trap Chest says a few weeks out, right after the charity stream. Yes, we will talk about the charity stream a little bit, too. But yes, I think we have quite a few lurkers, so I want to say hello to all of you out there, and I hope you will pop in if you have questions, etc., as we continue. Ace is one of the regulars on Grimm's Discord. Yes. I miss that Discord. I have to say, I do not miss being on Discord in general, but I do miss that one. So, all right. So, just a few things to cover. I had promised everyone an update. Hang on a second. I have to find myself here. For all of you who have been following, this is Zephyr. Zephyr is my old man. I have had him since he was about 8 weeks. I want you to know that literally up until this series of pictures, he absolutely hated cats. And apparently he hates all cats except Freya. Zephyr, unfortunately, was a rescue. He came with all the things that can entail, including a lot of health issues. And we've coaxed him through about 12 years. He's been on meds for most of it. And we took him to the vet this afternoon, and I promised people an update, and unfortunately the results were not good. So, sometime next week, Zephyr will be crossing the Rainbow Bridge. We've given him the best life we can. So I promised an update. There's the update, and otherwise we will stick to more cheerful things. Let's see. I already covered I got to help Grim with his Kickstarter, so that was going to be one of my other announcements. And the third one is that not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after, I am going to be running a 7-hour stream as a fundraiser for the RPG Creators Relief Fund. Grim does this better than me, so Grim, if you want to just give a little bit on the freelancing sucks and it doesn't come with insurance or 401ks.
Yeah. Where to even start? I don't know. So I don't think most people are aware that this organization even exists. I certainly didn't. And so I was working with my friend Ed, who passed recently, to try and set up something similar. And then we discovered that this thing already exists and it would have been replicated effort. But role-playing game designers are not generally making the big bucks, present company accepted, of course. It's not a very secure profession. You're not going to be getting any benefits. You're lucky to be making minimum wage in a year if you're freelancing. And a lot of us are fairly sedentary and have various other health issues, which often is why we end up designing games and doing things, because there aren't a lot of other options. And then a lot of the original guys have been aging out or getting very ill. We look at the way the Gygax passed, and that wasn't particularly dignified. The same has been true of others. You know, a single accident, a flood or a fire or whatever else can completely wipe you out. So this fund is there to try and step in and help people from the gaming industry when they run into trouble. There are similar organizations in comics and various other media that have similar issues where they're largely hobbyists and freelancers and that sort of thing. So I think me and Goat and quite a lot of other people have decided to sort of throw our weight behind this charity and to start to try and raise more awareness of it and raise money for it and do things to help it. I think that's that would be my sales pitch, such as it is. It's tough out there for a pimp.
Yeah,
So
it's the RCRF charity, is that the one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So their head is named Hal Greenberg. He is going to be on the show for the last couple of hours. Anyone else who would like to pop in and talk about either how they think that might benefit them or people they know who've benefited from it, or just, plain old talk about what it's like being a freelancer. The show will be open from 2 o'clock Eastern to 9 o'clock Eastern. I am attempting to put together some donations that we will raffle off as soon as Tomby helps me figure out how to manage that. So there is no good way for me to do donations through, like if somebody sends me a super chat, there's really no good way for me to send that to them. But anyone for that stream who sends me a Ko-fi donation, I've already made arrangements with them to basically dump that straight into their PayPal account from mine. So everything that day. It's not as much about the donations, though, as the fact that people just don't know they exist. To the point where last year they apparently had trouble getting enough people to apply for help. They had to reach out to people who were mentioning, hey, such and such an event has happened. I'm not going to be able to work for a while. And so they were having to reach out with people because people didn't know that they could apply for assistance.
Yeah.
And Yeah, the only thing, I think the only thing worse than, you know, being in need and not being able to get help is being in need and help being out there and you not knowing about it.
Yeah.
Totally.
But yeah, I mean, as I have freelanced for several years now, and let me tell you, it's not even just the crises that happen. It's, you know, when you spend a month on a job and then they walk off and they don't pay you. Even those types of things mean that, you know, the car insurance doesn't get paid. So, it's tough out there. So, if they're willing to spend their time and money and volunteers to help us, then we want to help them. So, important thing. So, all right, and only 23 minutes after, let's talk about Critical Role. Again, if you haven't been living under, if you haven't, you know, if you've lived anywhere other than under a rock, there we go. That's what I'm trying to say. Critical Role is a live stream production. I have not watched much of it, mainly because my attention span isn't long enough. They are professional. My understanding is they're professional improv people who got together. They started gaming, and then eventually they started live streaming. And they do these very cinematic role play games that they just live stream. There are people who love them. There are people who hate them. There are people who are neutral. And my understanding is that the main things for it is that it makes people interested in role playing, that it's cinematic and well done, and the anti-side mainly seems to be that it's given new gamers kind of an unrealistic outlook on what gaming is like. So, that being the summary for the chat, take it away. Let's start with everyone's personal opinions. Nobody's chat or panel. Nobody's here to badmouth anyone else. But we can occasionally dislike actions without disliking people. So what's everyone's actual take on the Critical Role show?
I will start off. I will be
I'm a fan.
absolutely honest.
I'm a fan of Critical.
You've got one fan. I tried getting into it, and I couldn't. And we've actually done live actual plays, so I absolutely understand the challenge they're up against. But I just never could get into it. But I take it, Professor DM, you found that you can really get into it, can you?
I watch Critical Role occasionally when I'm painting. You know, when I'm painting miniatures or stuff, I'll have it on in the background, and I enjoy the show. I think for a live show, it's enjoyable. I understand why people don't like it. Like, there are people that just, they don't know why they would ever watch a role-playing game. Why wouldn't they just play one? I totally understand that. The reason I think it's a net benefit for the hobby is because I'm from a time when you had the basic rule book and the Tom Mulvey basic D&D rule book, and I didn't know how to play. I couldn't figure out how to play. I didn't have anyone, an older brother, that showed me how to play. I had to read just from learning how to read the book. And I was very confused because in the example of play, they had a little play. You know, the caller does this player asks this, the dwarf rolls the dice. And what I couldn't understand was they kept asking questions like, is the door in the north wall? And I was perplexed. I was like, how come they can't see the door is in the north wall? Because I assumed everybody looked at the map. I didn't understand that only the dungeon master saw the map. You couldn't tell that just from reading it. Dungeons and Dragons role-playing games are a thing that are, it's almost an oral tradition. Most people get involved by having someone older teach it to you. So I think that with what Critical Role does is provide an opportunity that people could see what it kind of is. Because people would always ask me, what is Dungeons and Dragons? Is there a board? No. Is there a winner and a loser? No. You know, when does the game, how long does it take to play? And it just doesn't conform to anything that up until that point was called a game. So no one could imagine it. And with Critical Role, you could just turn it on and kind of see how to play. And that's why even old school products like Old School Essentials, instead of including an example to play, they just say, go watch Critical Role for 15 minutes and you'll kind of know what's going on.
I like that approach.
That is a good point. I had not considered the part about it teaches, because I think by the time Critical Role came out, I just made the assumption that everyone is sort of familiar with what D&D is, more so than they were, you know, when I was growing up. But I don't know. I guess it's the chicken and the egg. Like, did it become more mainstream because of Critical Role, or did Critical Role do well because it became more mainstream?
It's not for me. I've tried to watch, and I've never made it through a full episode. But I don't watch people play play computer games or things. It's just I don't watch sport. I don't understand the appeal of watching sport either. Any of these things. So it's not for me. So my interest is probably more later in the conversation about the effects that it's had on gaming culture. I would say that I'm not sure that it's necessarily giving the best example of play, because the quality standard is so high, because they skip over a lot of the rules, and it doesn't feel, from what little I've managed to watch, it doesn't feel like a genuine game. But then I don't really know why anyone would want to watch any of my actual plays either, and I'm actively trying to present the games as they are when I do that. And then goes the prof.
Oh no, he's back.
He's back.
I think Critical Role, I think, has had a great place within the hobby, and it's, as you said, it's that chicken and egg. Did our hobby explode because of Critical Role, or did Critical Role explode because of the hobby? I think it's a bit of both. And I think, with it brought a lot of new people into the hobby, and it made a lot of people realize what playing D&D was kind of about. I personally don't watch Critical Role purely because, similar to Grim and Vicky, I struggle to watch other people role playing, and for me it's way too performative, it doesn't feel like a game I would have around my table, or a game I would see if I went to my mate's house and watched them do role playing. It feels like you're watching more of a performance, more of something that's I know scripting's been used. I don't know how much scripting they do have. They must have some, because it's all about production value. It's all about making sure that you keep your audience, especially now. I know when they started it was a little bit rough. So for me, I got no problems with Critical Role, but I struggle to see the appeal. But that said, I don't watch sports. I will watch someone play a computer game quite happily if they've got a great voice and their narration is good and they keep me entertained. So it's got to be something similar to that. But like Grim, I think it's that unrealistic standard. The game they play is not a game I have ever seen played in my 39 years of tabletopping. It just feels incredibly performative, and I've been at the receiving end of a player who says, you're not like Critical Role, you don't do Rule of Cool, you don't do this, you don't do that, you don't do the other, and I've had to say, yeah, that's not how I run my games. And if you're expecting that, well, you might need to look for another table. But the way I run a game is like this. It's serious. It's this. So yeah, Critical Role, I think it's a blessing. It's been a blessing in that it's got us on the map, our hobby, but I also think it's beginning to alter the way the hobby is being perceived as being run. In that, I mean, I think it's beginning to change what people expect when they hear a tabletop role-playing game. And us grognards, us old folks, we have one way of playing, or multiples of old ways of playing. And I think they're bringing in a kind of new standard of play that the youngsters expect now when they go to a table.
Yeah, I think long gone from the from just basically grabbing your sort of squared paper and drawing maps out quickly and mapping as the GM is talking it through and stuff like that. All of that sort of stuff is missing. I feel from what I have seen, my brief moment of watching Critical Role, but I also think that it has really pulled a lot of people into the hobby that might never have found it. But because it's, if I'm right, and this is casting my mind back, didn't they start off on Geek and Sundry?
I think
They
so.
did.
So they would have always, so where they started off there, they would have already been around as geek and nerdy types. So it's the fact that because they do such a good production value, it actually sort of broke out from there, and that's where it sort of became more entertainment. So it would be quite interesting. I'm not too sure when in their series it sort of went more from being appealing to sort of geeks and nerdy types to actually going sort of more mainstream, because it definitely has gone more mainstream, and it has brought people into the hobby that probably would have never have tried it if it wasn't for Critical Role.
So, the comparison's been made several times that Critical Role to playing a role-playing game is a little bit like watching sports versus, playing sports, which I think is probably a good comparison. I am not sporty, but I can understand the appeal of playing a sport. I am not sure I understand the appeal of watching it a lot. But there's also a huge difference between people who buy season tickets to go watch a game and people who watch a game at home. Or people who play the game and people who watch it at home. If you're watching it on television or listening to it on the radio or whatnot, you have all of these added announcers and there are things that accommodate the people who are watching. So I guess I don't find it odd that they're doing things differently to accommodate the people watching compared to the people who would normally be playing, because they're very different audiences.
I have to say there is a comment in the chat that Critical Role makes me happy my games don't have a comment section, and I think that rings true. I think we all feel like that, because I've not actually dug into the comment section. I might have a look on the side or something, because we've all seen people round on other groups and stuff like that, and not doing it properly, and they're not doing this. I bet they get a load of flack as well as the fact that they get a load of support. I also expect they get a load of flack, which I do.
All you got to do is look at Twitter, and you can tell they get a lot of flack.
I do not support giving them flack. At the end of the day, they're playing our game, regardless of what role-playing game they're playing, they're role-playing. And, I'll always support anybody who's giving our wonderful hobby a go. But yeah, I totally agree with that. I know when we've done our actual plays, it's really nerve-wracking, isn't it, Dean?
Oh, it is. It is. Our Business Unusual filmed in a kind of mini studio. You're trying to be as natural as possible, but the camera's there, and we had a few people who were actors themselves, and they were kind of really putting their soul into it, and then others who were just playing like they would a normal game. I did all the editing on that, so I would watch for hours, and it was great for getting an idea for feedback and play testing. But watching other people play, watching me DM, oh god, it's humbling at times. It really is, and it's hard work, and there isn't really an appetite for people to watch this. Which is why Critical Role succeeds, because of their production value, because it's for them it's entertainment. They're keeping the people watching entertained, and the veneer around the entertainment is it's a role play game. You could almost do like a sitcom based on a group of people who sit around a table and do a role-playing game, and you're not going to be too far off what Critical Role do, albeit they put the role play more in front of the scripting. But I think what you were saying there about the sports analogy, I think that's actually quite true, because you get a bunch of friends together and you go and play some baseball. You're down your local park, you're playing some baseball. That's the kind of game. You then look at a more professional. You got the big stadium, the announcers. You got the you got the bands coming on. You got all of this. It's over the top. It's a whole day out, and that's how I kind of view it. Most tables are you're going down the park and playing baseball, and if you aspire to do what the professionals do, you're going to fall short and be very disappointed.
Maybe the more. Sorry, maybe the more apposite comparison would be to wrestling, sports entertainment.
Yeah.
Loosely scripted, highly produced, but it's not actually wrestling. It just looks like wrestling.
Well, if somebody watches Critical Role, though, and then they go to a role-playing game and they complain because, well, you're not like Critical Role, is that really the fault of Critical Role, or is that the fault of the person who went in with these really who went in believing that wrestling was real?
But if you've never played, and this is leading back
Well,
to
I'm a
what
game
Professor
master,
DM
so I blame players always.
I'm just leading into what you said earlier, though, Professor DM, about the fact that it does give people a leaning into how the game is run. And Dean actually had it where we had a player come along and say, well, it's not like Critical Role, because we play quite a serious game. And when you look at that, I don't think it's anybody to blame. I think the fact is that once you got them to the table, I mean, the player that joined your game, Dean, stayed for years.
Yeah.
Absolutely years. Once they realised what the game was like and they actually started playing. But if he hadn't ever seen Critical Role, would he have taken that step and joined the table? Maybe not. So, I do think that it has got its good points. But yeah, I struggle with any actual play, and it's even weird when you're in an actual play is a stranger feeling to how I feel if I'm normally playing a game. And I don't know if you guys have experienced that, especially since you're all doing backer kits and Kickstarters, so that, there's always a little bit of filming of how the play goes to when you're doing stuff like that. How do you guys feel when you're actually doing those things?
Who wants to answer first? Shall I go?
Yeah.
So I have two very different experiences of doing live plays. There's what I do on my own streaming channel, which has been playtesting Stray Crows recently, but also trying to play everything in my massive collection of RPGs at least once has been an ongoing project. And that's like, you get a small audience, not too many comments. Sometimes you get someone drive by being insulting. I do feel some pressure to be on, because I've got to fill that 4 hours and I've got to keep the pace of the game going a bit more than I would spending the weekend with my friends round a table, and we take our time and we get takeout, and nobody's that upset if it takes us 15 minutes to find the rule in the book because there's no index. Those are very different experiences, and the live experience is very different to that. And then obviously, of course, I also have the experience running a more commercial game as the games master for Tabletop, that were on sort of a long hiatus there. That's different again, because nobody is there to see me at all. That's not what it's about. But there is still that performance pressure, because you have to keep the pace up, you have to keep things going, and you do have to be entertaining in your own right, and you have all the interruptions in that case from people tipping and whatever. So that's a very different experience again, probably closer to the Critical Role one in a lot of ways, because we have to make such efficient use of the time and so on that we do sometimes pre-script a little bit. But it's always been very important to me to present to this audience of horny nerds that, well, yeah, what the games are actually like, rather than that fully polished performance. So I've always kind of held back from going too overboard. So that's my experience.
So, Professor, you have actually interviewed one or more, correct? Do I remember this correctly?
I have. I had Matt and Travis on the show, and I talked to them extensively on like how they prepare. And people don't believe them, and they don't believe me, but it's not pre-prepared. I mean, Matt prepares. He draws a lot of maps. He's a compulsive mapper. He knows the world. But the players definitely choose their path, and he doesn't fudge the dice. He rolls them. All the dice are rolled in public. However, they have a lot of training that that a normal player wouldn't have, right?
Yeah, I was going to say that.
I asked them, "Have you read Aristotle's Poetics?" And they both said yes. Sid Field's screenplay, yes. Hero with 1,000 Faces, Joseph Campbell, yes. These are books that actors and writers, and if you train, you get acting training, you're going to get writing training. You're going to have to write a play. You have to know how the ancient Greeks did it and how modern writers do it. So you're steeped in drama. That's part of your background. And instinctually, you know about, when you make a character, how to make an archetype. Whereas when a player new to the game, I run for younger students at my school when I was teaching school, 15, 16 years old. They just want to play a tiefling warlock because it's cool. The characters don't necessarily have a connection with the other characters, and they don't know how to share. You know, they don't know how to pass off the baton and give people the spot. They don't know how to do that. So when people talk about the Matt Mercer effect, and they say, well, you're not Matt Mercer, my response would be, you're not Matt Mercer's players, because they make him look good, because they're working with him. They always show up. Your players don't always show up. They might find something better to do. Or have something, it's my anniversary, I can't come. The cast of Critical Role, the producers of the show, and they're making money, they're always going to come. And they're always going to be in as good a mood as possible, because they're all making money on this show. Where it's like your players could be in a pissy mood, they're not feeling it, they come late, it's a totally different thing. So I think it's cognizant. The viewer has to be cognizant of these things, that they're not. It's not a normal situation of a typical game group, and I think that players, if you want your game, if those people who want their game to be more like Critical Role, with plots and arcs and compelling characters who have a narrative arc, you know what you got to do? You, as a player, you have to come correct. You ought to sit down and read Aristotle's Poetics and Joseph Campbell's Heroes with 1,000 Faces, so you know how to make a character that is actually compelling to more than just you. And you should come on time, and you should help the game master. You should take the hook, and you should bring the dungeon master or games master pretzels or potato chips or soda or something, beer or something.
I really missed the Game Master bribe, darn it. When did that go away?
Because the the people on Critical Role are active, whereas many times I've discovered players are passive. They're waiting to be told the story by the game master.
Yeah,
And that's
absolutely.
not what Critical Role does. And
Yeah, that's a great observation. The one player and a kind of a second player who rounded on me for not being Critical Role. When I watched the first episode, I came back with those exact arguments to them. I said, you look at the way they act. The players give each other time to talk and to set the scene. They give the DM time to set the scene. They all work together to create that collaborative story, and they all work to on their own characters and on the plot. And the two players in question, at the end of the game, they go home, they forget about the game until the next session, and they expect me then to put all the time, the effort into creating the elaborate backstories and interwoven elements that you see on Critical Role. So that's a great observation, and I think that's probably the one big difference you have between normal tables and what Critical Role does.
That's really interesting, actually, because that's much closer to my experience running live action roleplay scenarios in Vampire and related games. Because there, you're playing your character all the time. The world carries on even while you're not actively at a meeting and playing it out. And you have to inhabit your character and act them out in a space. So people got a lot more invested, a lot more interested. There was me and maybe one or two other people as storytellers for groups in the hundreds. So they couldn't monopolize a games master's time. They had to make their own stories. So it's a lot more like that. I just have to squeeze in, though, that I think Joseph Campbell was full of shit as a writer. So I have to just squeeze that in there quickly.
Doofus the Doofus has donated $7.99 Australian, I believe.
Yep.
Love to see you all back. I appreciate a more balanced perspective. Grim, put bookmarks in your PDFs.
Yes, I had that doing my layouts. The first layout didn't have any bookmarks, and I had to quickly go into Tutorial City and find out. And it's not that hard. It's not difficult to put the bookmarks in.
Just annoying.
It's annoying. You're right. It is annoying. It's just a bit time-consuming. Yes.
Thank you very much, Goofus. As always, we appreciate your support.
If not,
I think there is actually a very specific reason I called this the Critical Role effect and not the Matt Mercer effect. I have never liked the whole Matt Mercer thing because, first of all, it implies that there are people who will literally use that as this is everything that is currently wrong with the hobby is because of the effect of this one person. And I think that people don't. So I when I was an undergrad, my work study program was actually in the theater. And so I saw a lot of what even really basic actors have to do learning improv. And I think most people just aren't familiar with that. All these people that insist, it has to be scripted. I don't think they realize how much it gets drilled in, the ability to just pick up a line that somebody's thrown down and go with it. There's a famous scene in movies where Indiana Jones is faced off against a guy who does all these really cool sword things. And he wasn't feeling well, so he pulls out the gun and he shoots the guy. And everyone raves about what a great scene that was from Harrison Ford. What no one pays attention to is the fact that the guy with the sword went with it. Without hesitation. He just hits the ground full force. That's the kind of improv thing that actors do, and they just do it so naturally. So I've never really had any doubt that they probably don't need scripts. And I think that one of the reasons I asked earlier, is it as much the fault of the people who refuse to believe that, wrestling's not real? That there's this expectation that you've got to multi-million-dollar company running games, and it should be exactly like the one that runs in my local game store. Fault is probably the wrong word, but is there some responsibility on everyone's part to have reasonable expectations?
Yeah, the hobby is really, really vulnerable to sort of one true wayism. That's why you have edition wars. I think the last really big influx of different people that we had into the hobby was when White Wolf hit it big and happened to coincide with the Gothic revival that was going on at the same time. And suddenly you had a bunch of romantics and theatre kids and so on in the hobby. And a lot of people didn't like that and said, you're doing it wrong. And a lot of those new people coming into the hobby said, well, we don't like what you're doing. We think you're doing it wrong. And, White Wolf famously advertised Exalted by saying, yeah, this is a grown-up game. It's better than D&D. Not in my experience. So, you get a lot of that. And if there is a fault to be laid on Critical Role, the phenomenon as a whole, and all the fans and everything, it's that it has created another one true wayist sort of way of looking at games and how you should play, that they should be maximally performative, and the GMs should be, or Dungeon Masters should be like Matt Mercer. So it's on both sides there, but there's lots of ways to be a good player. There's lots of ways, different ways, to be a good Dungeon Master. And that's kind of getting lost in the mix a bit because of their dominance, I think.
I do think that the professor's right, though. I mean, I certainly have had issues with players who complain, well, nobody's really role-playing. They're just kind of rolling dice. Nobody's ever ready for their turn. And I thought, yeah, but you're the one that's always on your phone. So why are you complaining to me about the fact that everyone else isn't doing things the way you want it done? And I think you're right. I think it's a tendency to, I want everyone else to do the work so that I can have a good time. But I don't remember from one week to the next, what my character was actually doing.
And from the little bit I've watched, they all pay attention round the table. So, and that I think is the big thing that people can bring to the tables when they're playing, is pay attention. The GM has worked really hard to pull this game together. The other players have worked really hard on their characters. The minimum you can do is pay attention, even if it's not your turn. And you're right, it's the picking up the phone and going on the phone between turns drives me insane. I think that's
I tried
the main
banning
thing.
phones at my table once. It didn't work very well.
But it's just the way everybody brings either their phone or they start side conversations about what you did this weekend. And and someone's trying to role play, and you've got someone saying, so what did you do this weekend? And you're thinking, hang on a minute. And you do see that at tables. Now, I don't think you get it much when there's actual plays, because everyone's far more cognizant of the fact you've got microphones and you've got cameras in faces and stuff like that. But yeah, I think when you're around the dining room table and you're all delving into your snacks, I think sometimes you can go. So I would say the one thing we can all bring from Critical Role is pay attention and have a bit of respect for each other's time.
That would be, honestly, I am also not a fan of paid GMing, with the exception of, I don't mind if somebody wants to reimburse some of my expenses once in a while. I don't mind if somebody, wants to buy the pizza once in a while. But the idea of it becoming a job is kind of abhorrent to me. On the other hand, people who have money I never have trouble at a convention with people paying attention, because they've paid money to go to get into the convention. They've paid money to be in my game. And that is the only benefit I have ever really seen to the idea of paid GMing. And again, I think that's as much the people coming into the hobby or being in the hobby than it is I think he gets blamed on Critical Role a lot, but Trap Chess says Critical Role has set expectations for new players. I'm curious about everyone's opinion on if BG3 has done the same. That's an interesting question. Baldur's Gate 3 really was huge, and there were a lot of people that played the video game and then decided they were gonna jump into role playing. But I haven't. It hasn't gotten the backlash the same way.
I think it did get some backlash, but there were a lot of people who were they couldn't have Baldur's Gate 3 being criticized. So anybody who spoke out was quickly overrun, their voices quashed. Personally, I had a problem with Baldur's Gate 3. Having played Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, I know it wasn't going to be like that, but I expected a similar kind of styling going forward. The first thing I was hit with was the over-sexualization of everything in the game.
I was going to say, the only thing I heard was people were really mad about banging the bear.
Yeah. All the NPCs hitting on you, and it was all the time. And for me, that spoilt it. I look at my fantasy roleplay as a Tolkien-esque story, or you're Conan, or you're in one of Howard's books, or something like that. And there wasn't even an option to say, make this kid friendly. The game was like this, out the box. And for me, it spoiled my enjoyment of the game. I got through Act 1 and then stopped at that point. I just couldn't take it any further, which is a shame.
I was fine with it not having a kid-friendly setting. I mean, there are certain games that just plain old aren't for kids. And I don't... I would not call myself a prude. I did, however, think that what I saw of it was that it was just so over the top, it was ridiculous, and it just wasn't for me.
I love Mass Effect, and Mass Effect did that relationship really well. And I found the relationship buildings within Mass Effect, the people you could kind of court and stuff like that, done incredibly well. In Baldur's Gate 3, it was just thrown at you, and I really didn't like it.
Original Sin 2 has relationship stuff in it. That doesn't bother me, but it was just silly. I like my relationships one-on-one. Thanks very much.
Both
and without bears.
Yeah.
With both Baldur's Gate and Critical Role, I mean, they're both basically about a bisexual, chaotic polycule getting into hijinks in a fantasy theme park. Right? One's just slightly more explicit than the other one. I'm fine with that. I like sexuality to be addressed in games. I do think Baldur's Gate was a bit silly and over the top about it, but I found in my long career of being involved in adult gaming, that's often a sort of defensive tactic. If you make it silly, if you make it a joke, then it's all just ha-ha laughs. You're not taking it seriously. And that's like a defensive mechanism. I did like in The Witcher the way in which Geralt was treated by other NPCs as someone they wanted to be with, right? Yeah. But it was a lot more naturalistic in its presentation, and it made sense because witches are sterile. So there is this fit, well-regarded in some parts, man in the area who you can have sex with without getting pregnant. Just like that that's why like gypsy women used to be so sort of sexualized. It's because they were always moving from one place to another, and you could have a dalliance and it didn't really matter. And so I drew on that kind of historical parallel and looked at, he's this wandering warrior. But it was really engaging and interesting to me that your character was being pursued rather than you being the one doing the pursuing. And in a lot of games, that's just give them this thing, do this side quest, and then you can boink, which feels kind of grubby, Yeah.
It is interesting. I mean, I don't know about Baldur's Gate 3 specifically, but I do notice I get players who come in and complain that games aren't like video games. And I usually laugh and say, if you want it like a video game, 90% of the equipment you pick up is going to be crap you don't want and don't need.
Yes.
And you're going to have to go back to town to sell it all off.
And your inventory will become full.
Yeah.
Professor, do you think that, what's your take on the video game interaction with tabletop gaming these days?
Oh, can't hear you again.
Oh no! Are we voiceless again?
Yeah.
Hang on a second. Let's see if we can try it. Let's see if we can do it this way. Sometimes I can just pop you in and out.
No.
Nah.
I can lip read. I think he's saying, I'm going to donate $1 million to Grimm's Kickstarter. Thanks.
He apparently can hear you, and he's out. But yeah, I think that I think that there is a lot of, there's a lot of the hobby isn't going the way I want it to go, both from new people and from old people. And I think that it's just terribly convenient to well, it's not because I didn't pay attention or take notes during the game. It's because this other person gave me unrealistic expectations, or it's because the game master isn't doing things the way I think they should, or lots of baton passing, I think, maybe.
Yeah, isn't it always easier to blame someone else than to look in the mirror and actually see what am I doing? Isn't it easier to pass the buck, especially to a bunch of people who we don't know, we're never going to actually ever get to talk to? So let's just blame them over there, because, no one's going to ever be able to call me on it, because you know what, I'm not going to meet them. So it's their fault that I didn't actually take my notes during the game. I can't remember from one week to the next what I'm doing, and I can't be bothered to create a backstory for my character that may actually give the GM some really good hooks to put into the storyline at some point. No, the GM's going to do all the work, because isn't that what Critical Role does?
Well, it's one of the reasons that I wanted Professor DM on here, is because he does know them personally, and he has interacted with them, and he doesn't have that layer of, well, I'm never actually going to meet them, so it's just really convenient to say Matt Mercer's responsible for everything. Even though I don't even think he runs all the Critical Role stuff anymore, does he? Aren't there multiple teams now or something?
Well, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, right now, for the new campaign, Brendan Lee Mullen of Dimension 20 is the game master, and the Critical Role group, the traditional players, are broken up among a number of other groups. So this gives Matt an opportunity to be a player and recharge his game mastering batteries. But it is what you said, that they all prepare. They all prepare. They're all part of the show. It's not just Matt Mercer. It's an illusion that he's the. Yeah, I mean, he is a good game master in terms of his enthusiasm and his accents and stuff like that. But it's easy to game master for people that come that prepared to the show. I just think that the biggest difference is players come expecting to be entertained as if it's a movie, and a role-playing game is not a movie. You have to actively participate. One of the most common questions asked on my show is, how to get players to take the hook, to take the bait, that the goblins are attacking and they should do something about it. And the answer is, in Deathbringer, you get experience points and you get Deathbringer dice for just taking the bait, because that's your job. That is your job as the hero. You're the protagonist. You gotta protag. That's why you came. If you're playing Call of Cthulhu and there's a missing child, it's your job to investigate it. The police aren't going to solve the crime because they're NPCs. You have to do it. So players need to be more active. They need to be actively engaged. And going back to the point before, I don't allow cell phones at my table. I don't do it in a jerky way. I do it the same way a theater. You go to the theater and there's an announcement, please silence your cell phones at this time. And that's what I say, okay, we're getting ready to play. Please silence your cell phones and put them away. And everyone does it. Everyone does it. Everyone in my groups get that, yeah, it's kind of like, we have to concentrate on like what we're doing. And there are always people, not always, but when you find people that have side conversations, they're only interested in socialization, I just make it clear, we're here to play a game. You know, if we want to go out to dinner, chat about our real lives, we will do that. But this is a game. That's why we're here.
I wonder if my players would focus more if like I had. So normally what I do when I play a game, I not only run the game. If I'm hosting, I also like it becomes a dinner party. I cook for everybody. I wonder if I would have an easier time with my players if I had the dinner party separate from the game.
I have a hard.
I just really like cooking for people.
I have a hard time being quite so draconian because with my meat space group, we only meet every month and a half or so if we manage to keep up the tempo. And so we haven't seen each other for a long time. There's not a lot of third spaces out there anymore. A lot of pubs and clubs and places have shut down. So it's one of the few opportunities we have to all get together and shoot the shit. But we've got plenty of time, so maybe that it doesn't impact us quite so much. But I would be loath to take away everyone's time to catch up and be friends. I wouldn't want to sacrifice all of that for the sake of the game. But that might just be our circumstance. I don't know.
But don't you?
No, I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. Yeah, I mean, that's part of the game. People are going to get there. They arrive. I have one guy who's always like, he's like, tell everybody to start playing the game. And I'm like, no, I'm going to let it play out until everyone can catch up and talk about their kids. And because my players are in their 50s, their medical issues, you know, for a half an hour or whatever. And then I say, okay, you know, everyone, you know, ready to begin. And at that point, we segue into the game. But I'm sorry, Vicky, what were you going to say?
I was going to say exactly what you said, which is, when everybody starts arriving, you get around the table, we will all moan about our aches, pains, and everything else that's going on. But I think that's the one thing, you have to have that demarcation to start, don't you? You need to go, right, now is the time we're starting. So yeah, you have your time for that, but not in the middle of the game.
Yeah, I did take to like serving lunch before we started playing, and so like if we're gonna play, everybody shows up at 10, and they stand around in my kitchen and they chat while I finish cooking, and then everyone gets a plate, and then we go to the gaming table, and the gaming table is kind of and that has worked well, but man, see I can't ban cell phones because one of my players is diabetic. And his insulin is attached to his cell phone, and so he has to have alerts and everything else. And another one has a on-call firefighter thing. And so once I've got 2 out of the 5 who have their cell phones, the others are like, well, they have their phones, so. And the one guy who does obey the no phones thing brings minis and paints at the table, so he's paying attention to the minis instead of to the game.
You see, if I did that, I'd spill the paint. You can guarantee I'm clumsy enough. If I was at the table when we were role-playing, it would come around to my turn, I'd knock over the paint pot, it would be all over the place, there'd be carnage.
Oh yeah. I found when D&D Beyond really took off, the table went from all paper-based character sheets to iPads and phones. So, you know, turning around and going, right, all electronic devices and phones off, and no one would know what their characters did or what their spells were. And as easy as it was to quickly look up stuff, and as great as it was to create these characters and have everything recorded, I felt it took so much away from the game. And I went back to paper-based character sheets, because I think there's a certain charm, and players began to understand their characters more with a paper sheet that they filled in than an electronic one that they just hit options on and it filled it in for them.
There's something about the haptics of writing that helps you remember as well,
Yeah.
which I think is important. The way I solved that was one Christmas, I bought everyone these box files that looked like old leather-bound books for them to keep their
Nice.
paper character
Nice.
sheets in.
Yeah.
So they all got hyped to put their character sheets in the boxes. Problem solved.
Yeah, that's good.
I like that approach, and I agree with you, because I find that using that pencil on the character sheet makes a huge difference. I can't remember stuff if I've typed it versus if I've written it.
That's a good question. On Critical Role, do they have electronic or
I was
paper
just going
based?
to ask that.
Yes.
Professor, you're the one that watches them the most. No pressure.
I think they have pads, but I can tell you that they're using iPads. But I can tell you that they're not answering personal calls during the show.
Yeah. They're well trained to not do that, and I think some of them have to keep track of the comments and stuff like that when they're doing it live, and keep up to speed with whatever chat's saying.
When I speaking to the haptics, when I taught English, which I taught English composition for 30 years. I just retired, and my students scored very well on national exams. And the secret was I bought them all a 200-page marble composition book. And they wrote everything in the composition book. They completed all the compositions there. They revised them there. They took all their notes in this book. And so I'm a big believer in you have to actually write it. I mean, I even have right here, that's my fountain pen. Let me see, did I get it on camera? Like, I write with fountain
Nice.
pen. So I'm a bit, yeah, you're a fountain pen person. All right, wonderful. There is playing around the table is, I think, a different game than playing virtually. And they have advantages and
Very much.
disadvantages. And some people I know can only meet virtually, but it's different in not in the same way, but it's different as a play is from a film. That's how different it is.
Yeah, I mean, as an avid dice goblin, you will never convince me that touching my touchscreen phone to roll dice versus like taking handfuls of them and letting them clatter on the table is. It's just not the same.
No.
I completely agree with you. I really, when we play on like Roll20 and stuff now, it's fantastic that we can do it. It means we get, oh, look, the fans come out. It means
Yeah, it's hot.
we get to play with people all around the world, which is just amazing. But I miss, if I'm doing virtual dice rolling, I miss that feeling. In fact, we're moving now more to putting cameras over a dice tray because it just works better and it's more natural. Definitely think it's more natural just having that. And there's a feel, there's an aesthetic to rolling dice, isn't there?
Yeah.
And that's why conventions exist. People still want to get together and interface with people in real life. And that's why, if you ever want to make money in role-playing games, just start a company that makes dice. There's more money in the dice than there are in the games.
Oh, I'm pretty sure dice to your friendly local gaming store is like soda is to fast food. You know, like that's where they make a large chunk of their profits.
It's like, you can always afford a booster pack and you can always afford a dice. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what happens.
And if I see dice, I can pretty much guarantee that I will be buying them. I have got mountains of dice and I still haven't got enough. No such thing as too many dice.
I got
what
a
they
quote. for some teak and rosewood ones, so which might be part of the Kickstarter, but we shall see.
Yeah, the teak ones are gorgeous. The other ones are really nice, but I would never be able to read them. I am so blind. They're dark brown with black print. But the teak ones are beautiful. And then I realized I don't own wooden dice, and there's just something wrong there. So now I have to have wooden dice. It's all his fault.
Sorry.
We'll blame
No,
you,
you're not.
Gwen. It's fine.
I'm used to it.
Why do you think Critical Role has become the hub for all of the naysayers out there? Like, what about it? I mean, is it just because they were famous ahead of time? Is it just because you get that occasional player that says, "Is that a cattail, or do you have a snake in your office, Vicky?"
It's definitely my cat. She rather likes the microphone, and she thinks that that's really something that she can cuddle. Hence why it was rapidly put on mute. And she's now sat next to me, cleaning her toe beans.
It was the black movement against the black background that threw me.
Yeah,
So anyway,
she's a tux, so she's black and white. Bless her.
so why do you think Critical Role has become? I mean, first it was, well, Wizards of the Coast has wrecked the game, and now it's become Critical Role has wrecked the game, and I guess there's some Baldur's Gate 3 wrecked the game. What do you think about it is about Critical Role? Are people just mad that they're so successful?
I think it's a combination. A, they're successful, so it's the typical Billy the Kid. They're up at the top, so they're going to be challenged because they've risen to the top and they're so popular. But I also think it's because they're doing things differently to what a lot of people who grew up with the hobby back in the 80s and 90s are used to. And the hobby space is changing. The style of game is changing. The materials that are coming in, the direction Hasbro and Wizards are taking D&D is not the direction we've all grown up with. And it's, the hobby's got to change. There's still the kind of OSR stuff. So if you want old school, there's a lot of stuff out there. But I think Wizards are taking it in a very different direction. And Critical Role are kind of at the front of that because they're using it, they're popular, they're playing D&D. Are they playing the 5.5 version in their latest season, or they kept to the 2014?
I thought they moved to Dagger.
They are doing 5.5.
They did move to 5.5.
They play 5.5.
Yeah.
No,
So there you go. They're pushing what Wizards are doing right to the forefront. So they're going to get a lot of flack from people who don't like change and don't like the direction the hobby's going.
Yeah, no, the Daggerheart thing actually is my biggest beef with them, probably. You have this massively successful thing. You put out a quirky but mostly successful game, and then you don't use it. And that I just find that annoying. Should capitalize on your success, and it's much better suited to the way that they play role-playing games. D&D is a bit of a square peg round hole, I think.
You should capitalize on your success from the guy who constantly says, "I'm terrible about pimping myself."
Well, it's true. I know my weaknesses, but I also know what other people should do.
I had asked them about that, and they said it was because Brendan Mulligan was most comfortable with 5.5, and he was a new manager for them, and it was just easiest for him. Because that's what the 5th edition is the easiest thing for him to run. He can just run it without any kind of a learning curve, and that's what prevents other game systems from being easily adapted. It's that sunk costs. It's I spent all this time learning this game. It's the path dependency. It's like I already know how to do this. And to be fair to Brendan Lee Mulligan, he is running a show for like 10 million people. Yeah. Or however many people watch it. It's got to be a lot of pressure. It's just the easiest. I mean, the great thing about a 20-sided die is it's a percentile die. If you want someone to have a 20% chance of success, it's 17 or better. It's so easy to do mathematically. Whereas two 12-sided dice, it's a lot. You have to practice doing that before you do it on the fly.
Noir Frequency wants to know, is there going to be a Deathbringer actual play stream?
I don't know. Here's the problem. People have asked, like, why don't I run games live? And the answer is, I'm not Matt Mercer. I'm not as good as him. But my players are definitely not Critical Role. They're definitely, you want to see, I watched these people one time try to argue for 20 minutes whether they should go up a staircase, and there was no other place to go. So that is, I can imagine there being a live stream of professionals, that, get put together. I'm doing a live stream I'm doing 2 live streams at Gen Con, actually. Mike Merles, who is the lead designer on 5th edition, reached out to me, would I be in a live stream? The other players are Limithron, who created Pirate Borg, and Joe Manganello. So I got a professional actor and a professional game designer there. So clearly, he's putting together a team of people that he's, demoing his new game, and he wants people that are going to be on point and not screw it up. And I think if there's going to be a Deathbringer live stream, you'd have to have hand-picked people. And they wouldn't be the players that I regularly play with, even though I love them.
Critical Role played together for 2 years before they started live streaming, so that they specifically would have a flow and know how each other played. Do you think that Critical Role would get so much grief if they played something else? Like, if they had stuck with Daggerheart, do you think they would still be getting crap about the Critical Role effect?
Yeah.
They'd always get crap.
They're always going to, because they're visible, right? How many other actual plays are as visible out there as Critical Role? Right? They are the most watched, so therefore they're gonna get the most grief. It's the old adage, isn't it? Where, if you're visible, you get the blame.
And different people are pissed off at them. Different people are pissed off at them for different reasons. So you can't solve the whole problem by changing one thing. I don't think it's that simple.
And circling back to that question about why are they not, some people just don't like them, it's always a confluence of events. And going back to what Grim said earlier, there's that idea that, the way I play is the right way. And the problem is that no one knows what that way is, because you're not a player at everyone's table. So even when we talk about, back in the day we played D&D like this, some people played it that way. Some people played with, we're going to map out every square. And then some people, like me, did it in more narrative. I was always doing voices. So my game and my style is way closer to Critical Role, and it always has been. So a D&D, and I'm just using that because it's the most popular, but that game in particular is a different game at every table. Call of Cthulhu, you're going to have more of a uniform experience. But D&D is there's whimsical D&D and goofy D&D and grimdark D&D. There's so many different styles of play. And everyone thinks their way is the right way, which is, I've often described role-playing game enthusiasts, especially to systems, is it's almost like a religion. I don't want to offend anyone, so I'm not going to get... But there's like a fundamentalism about this is the true way. that this must be played, and there really is no true way. And you don't know that because you haven't played in everyone's game.
Yeah,
I'd say
and
the
there are
passion-
people that will get really offended if you say there isn't one right way to play D&D. And my answer to that always is, great, I haven't played D&D in years because I'd much rather play much cooler games out there. This is why I love indie games.
I think that's actually part of the source of friction, though, because back in the day, yeah, every different table you went to was a bit different, and there wasn't a dominating idea of how you should play, because everyone had figured it out for themselves, and then they were passing it down, master to apprentice, almost. And now here comes Critical Role with its big audience, and they play a particular way, and they interpret things a certain way, and that's what this huge influx of new people has seen as the way to do it, and that's bound to cause friction when they come into other groups that don't play that way, or they have different strengths. I like to be slow and methodical and evocative when I'm games mastering. I like to build things up, not have quite so much gurning to the camera or whatever. Other people do like that very procedural way of playing. It's very popular in Japan, for example. So if you get Critical Role players coming to your table, I mean, at first you're just happy because there's more people playing, and then you start getting into that culture clash, and I think that's where a lot of the friction comes in.
Yeah, the difference between the 50-year-old players I have and the 130-year-old player I have can be pretty intense. It is just about 8:30. I said I wanted to carve out some serious time for you guys to be able to talk about your stuff. So does anyone have any final thoughts that they'd like to add, or shall we talk about the games?
Let's
Crickets.
talk about the games.
All right, let's talk about games. All right, who wants to go first?
I'll go last.
You go, okay.
Go on, Professor DM. You've got the kit. You've got the backer kit that's out there at the moment. Give us your stuff.
Yeah. Deathbringer is out now. It's built on the Shadow Dark game system, and it's going to feature even more darker rules and more options for swingier play. And it's you get a whole bunch of stuff with it at those different pledge levels. And 1.1, wow, that's crazy. And there you go. That's all I got to say about that. Thank you very much. Link below.
Give us at least a little rundown on the classes, because I am absolutely that's really what hooked me was the different classes.
The new classes include the Death, who's like a fighter, but they're an alchemically enhanced, roided out fighter, warrior type that can do lots of attacks. We got the Battle Nun, whose goal is to die a martyr in battle, and she's got sort of the smiting abilities of a paladin and the protection from evil abilities of a cleric, but she can't heal anybody because there's no magical heal in Deathbringer. We got the Witch Hunter, who hunts Doom Scribes, who are the wizards, and Witch Hunters get all these bonuses to attack spellcasters, special saving throws, really low saving throws. We got the Doom Scribes, that's the version of the wizard. They have to go out and find their spells and tattoo them on their skin. And when you roll, it's a roll to cast system, and when you roll a natural one, terrible things happen to the environment and the world. Like all the crops within a 1 mile radius die. All the parties milk or rations spoil and become, just bursting with maggots. And very dark. And bounty hunters hunt down people and bring bring them back alive, bring people back to, or monsters back to be hung. And those are and then we've got the plague doctor, who is part healer but also part mad scientist, and they're brewing these potions and they lob acid grenades at opponents, and it's a lot of chaotic, fast-paced, grimdark fun. That's Deathbringer.
All right. And it's doing very well. 6,142 Deathbringers. Well, congratulations on how successful it has been. Any guesses as to what it'll end at?
Thank you. I have projections from Backer Kit, but I don't want to jinx it. It's a lot higher than I could imagine. Like, it's apparently this is just the first stage. Who knows? I don't want to put the whammy on it, but they're so high that I can hardly conceive of it.
No pressure.
So, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's nothing I can do now except appear on shows like this one. Either people are gonna like it or not, and like do promote it at Gen Con and stuff like that. But it's already done very well. I'm very happy with the results, and that's what I got to say about Deathbringer. Thank you.
Okay. Untold Destiny.
Do you want me to take
I
this
can
one,
make
Vicky?
this work. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, you start off, and then I can.
You can jump in. So Untold Destiny is based, it's classic roleplay reimagined is our tagline. So we've taken what we love about the classic systems of old. So this is hero role-playing built around one-shots and campaign play. It's not superhero role-playing. So when I say the classic systems, I'm talking like first edition, basic edition, and second edition. But what we've done, put some really fantastic, straightforward mechanics in there. So we use a multi-D20 system to represent your skill and ability at doing something. So if you're not very skilled, you roll 1d20, add your attribute. If you're really skilled, like a grandmaster, you're going to be rolling 4d20 and adding your attribute. And what this does, your skill makes it more consistent that you're going to succeed, and it also gets rid of your abilities to roll ones because you're very, very trained and you've got more chance of rolling 20s, and it keeps the maths nice and low. It also does some really great stuff to the percentages in the background depending on what your attribute is and how many dice you're rolling, but we hide all that maths away from the player. All you're doing is rolling lots of dice and hoping to get big numbers when you do things. We have quite a dynamic combat system. Vicky and I love our combats, and it keeps you engaged. Your turns are fast. You got a reaction system that stamina is used to fuel. So outside of your turn, there are lots of opportunities for you, depending on what character you're playing, to leap in and immediately say, I'm doing this or I'm doing that. So for example, our Master at Arms, they could take a Taunting Strike ability, which means if an opponent that is next to them attacks someone who isn't them, so one of their allies, they can immediately say, look, I'm spending a point of stamina. They roll their melee damage and inflict half of it straight onto the target, a kind of bashing the target and going, come on, pay attention to me. No roll to hit, so it's fast, it's quick. Aid ally is another one where if you're next to someone and your party member's shooting at them and they just miss, you can say, right, I'm going to aid my ally, spend a point of stamina. I'm now getting in this guy's face. I'm barging them. I'm doing whatever it takes to distract them. And now I roll a d6 and add it to my ally's attack roll. So it's all built around the party kind of cooperating, working together to create these incredible combats. Damage can be quite spiky. So the combats don't last too long, and we got rid of a lot of the stuff that I considered to be kind of world-breaking or just counterproductive to an exciting combat. So healing is out. There is limited healing in the way of your recovery tests, but otherwise the combat is all about trying to mitigate that damage, trying to get good tactics in. We've got a morale system around how the creatures work. So it's not just about killing the creatures. You can bring their morale down to 0 and drive them off the field or make them surrender. So combat typically I don't think it lasts more than about 3-4 rounds. 4 rounds is probably average, and those 4 rounds can go by in 20 minutes, and they're one hell of a back and forth. The final thing we do, which is very unique, is, two final things. One, your attack is always opposed by a defense. So if you're doing a melee attack, they can parry you. If you're doing a missile attack, they can dodge, including spells. And the second thing we do is your combat resources always come back at the end of an encounter. So you get your hit points back, your spell points, and your stamina. What doesn't come back are the wounds you might have been inflicted with during that combat encounter. So when you're brought to 0 hit points, you're no longer being able to kind of roll with the blow and soak the damage. You're now being wounded, and those wounds will take a lot of time to heal. So the adventuring day becomes far more natural. If you're out adventuring and you only have one combat encounter, it's an exciting combat encounter. It's not going to be skewed to you being able to use limited resources to hit way beyond your weight. But the same is said, if you've got 10 combat encounters, you're not running out of resources midway through and having to say, look guys, I know we're having great fun around the table, but I've no longer got any spell slots. Can we now have a long rest? So it's all about supporting the story, supporting the natural flow of the day. We got mechanics in there like the boons and banes to adjudicate our difficulty, and it's all designed around trying to reduce the DM fatigue I suffered when playing 5e and Pathfinder. Pathfinder was the real one.
You.
It did.
It was you needed like 2 months off after running Pathfinder. But the main thing to remember about Untold Destiny is that we're trying to make sure we get rid of exactly what we're talking about here, which is people on their phones in between turns. You have to pay attention. You pay attention at the table, you can have a fantastic time, you work together, and you know what? It's just fun to play. And you get to play with lots of little clickety-clack math dice.
You do. And this is... Sorry, Vicky. Yeah.
And I think we've uncovered Untold Destiny. We've gone into that in a fair bit of detail. What I would say is it's absolutely free to download the taster. It's first level. We also give you the full level, all of the levels for the Master at Arms, so you can have a look at what it's going to look like. We are taking feedback on what you think about it, so we can make the book the very best that it can be. So my advice, download it. It's not going to cost you anything. If you don't like it, if there's something that you think, oh, this would be better if, let us know. We've got feedback forms on our website so people can feedback to us and we can make it the very best it can be. So that would be the one thing I'd say. And another 2 little things, which are sides. We have the Indie Game Guild. So we've got a Discord server set up, the Indie Game Guild. We've also got the Indie Game Guild on X. If you
Twitter.
For now, they're getting rid of communities, so only for now.
Allegedly, they're going to get rid of communities, but we've keep growing all the time. If you are a TTRPG creator, get yourself onto our Indie Game Guild. We're about promoting indies, not just our own game, but all of the other indies out there, inspired by what other people have done before, like Professor DM. The fact is that we're a small community. You know, we were on here talking to you, Eclectic Goat, not so long ago about what is an indie. We're all tiny, right? We are all trying to get a slice of the pie, and we're so much better together than we are apart. So get yourselves on. On our YouTube channel, we do indie game spotlights where we actually allow people who've created games to wax lyrical about their games. Go watch them. It's lovely seeing people who are passionate about their games talking about them. So get onto our YouTube channel, check those out. And if you are an indie game creator, let us know, and you can also come along and talk to us, and we will record it and we put it out there. We do not charge for interviews and stuff like that, right? This is all about supporting each other out there. That is what we're about. Isn't that right, Dean?
That is right. And if you want to keep up to date, our website has all our socials on there, including a place you can sign up for a newsletter. I say newsletter. This is a once a month thing, just bringing you up to date on what's changing. We have a backer kit that's in, it needs to be smartened at the moment, but we have one in pre-release.
It's on my list.
I know, it's only the two of us, and we are knackered because we are doing everything, and Vicky's got a full-time job, because you don't give up your day job when you're doing this, because it's a labor of love. And yeah, pop onto our website, have a look in there. If you download the rules, we've got all the socials in there as well, and then choose your favorite and follow us.
Noir Frequency said, how do we keep up to date when the full release comes out? Is that the newsletter?
It'll be the newsletter or your we're on Facebook, we're on X, we're on Threads, we're on
Blue Sky.
Instagram, Blue Sky. So
all the things.
Yeah, choose your favorite social media platform. Follow us on that, and you'll get updates regularly. And our backer kit is going to go live on the 13th of October, but we're going to start to do a big ramp up a couple of months before that.
Yeah, so landing page is there at the moment, but like yours, Grim, we've just got a little landing page. We've got to tart it up. That's going to be stuff that I'm working on over the next month or so. But because we're also working on getting the adventure out at the end of August, we're having to. And as I said, there's Dean and there's me. Yes, yeah. And we're not allowed to sleep, are we? Sleep is for the weak.
I want to make it very clear that I am not creative enough to be a game designer, so you guys can be the slices to the pie and I'll just be the pie plate.
Yeah, and I've just noticed we got another review, so I am really happy that someone else has done a review. We're maintaining our 5 out of 5. These aren't paid reviews or coercion. These are people who've had a look at the rules or have had an opportunity to play it. So yes, it's...
Yeah, we're going to be scheduling really one-shots, aren't we? Very soon.
Yes, we are.
When I can actually get time in my diary, we'll be scheduling one-shots, which you'll be able to sign up for, come along, play, and have a taste of Untold Destiny yourselves. I think we've hogged it now long enough.
Yes,
well, no. There's a very important question here. How many downloads do you have now?
Oh, it's hang on. I just had that 388.
Refresh.
388. So we've only gone up by one, but do you know what? We
all right, folks. There are 23 of you watching. It's a free game.
Yes. Go and download it. It helps us with drive-through, so when we get close to the backer kit, we can contact them to get them to help us as well.
Farv says, I can't write game systems either. Goat, I feel the pain. No, I don't have an issue with it. I know where my talents lie. My talents lie in doing the, tiny, boring work of looking for commas that nobody else wants to do. That is what I do.
It's really important. You have no idea how, for me, so with what we're doing, this, the two of us, the painstaking effort it has taken us probably 3 or 4 times longer than we estimated to find commas, and we still keep missing them, and we still keep having to go through and check. So it is an absolute skill. Do not put that skill down. That is an amazing skill that you've got, the fact that you can do that.
Yeah, I mean, I have no issue with, like I said, I know where my talents lie, and my talents lie with the T. Though I got to say, I really miss, paper and the red pen, since we were talking earlier about the difference between electronics and...
I struggle with electronic all the time. I'm far better. Dean hates it because I will sit there and make him print it all out so I can scribble on it.
Welcome to Left Eye Ego, who apparently just subbed to the channel. We are happy to have you here.
Woohoo!
All right. 24 people watching. There's absolutely no reason that we can't help them break 400 by the end of this stream. So, Eraser, if you would pop the link in the chat one more time, everybody go download yourself a free game. Grim.
Yes.
We have to pause this for a second because I believe you had another comment here. Let's see if I can get back to it. Speaking of different variants, Grim published a Grimdark and a TPK rule set. Sorry, but the failed tree person really is embarrassingly bad at marketing. Also, have I mentioned he's rubbish at bookmarks?
Go stick your head in a pig.
Thank you again, Goofus, for your donation. And I did not know that he was rubbish at bookmarks, but I do find it entertaining how frequently he likes to talk about how rubbish he is at marketing. So
Yes, that's true. But I should do my best. Right. Do you want to call up the page or something?
Yep. Give me just a second. There are too many buttons,
Yes.
and they are never in the position I want them to be in. So there we go. Ta-da!
Okay. Right.
Very different aesthetic from the first two.
Yes. It's kind of important, I think, the aesthetic. Right. So, Stray Crows Ronin is the core book, but it'll be a 3-book set. You'll have Stray Crows Ronin, Stray Crows Three Candle Crown, and Stray Crows Autumn Moon. So, Ronin is OSR adjacent, I guess, because it's built out from the old school game Bushido. That's very much its roots, but it has become its own beast because I discovered that they're still selling Bushido. And that gave me the excuse I needed to kind of modernize and mess things around, but it still has old school roots. So the main core book does technically have everything you need for any kind of like mythic Japan, historical Japan, or whatever you wanted to do with it, but it is very much focused on the culture and the history. So if you want to play a game set in Sengoku, which is the Warring States period in Japan, or the Edo period where everything started calming down and becoming a bit more civilized, that's the kind of arena that we're talking about. The ninjas don't exist. There are shinobi, though. If you knew ninjas existed, they wouldn't be very good ninjas now, would they? So you could play samurai. There's the unfortunately named Jizamurai, who are sort of peasant, minor, sort of hillbilly samurai. We've got willow people who are sort of courtiers and entertainers. You could play a geisha if you want, though I don't really know why you would. We call the criminal class Yakuza, even though the Yakuza didn't really exist at that point in history, but it's a nice way of rolling together gamblers and petty criminals and so on. So you'll find an accessible primer to what Japan was like in these periods as well, little cultural things. I went off on one a bit and did like an introduction to traditions of Japanese storytelling and how they differ from Western storytelling. So if you wanted to, you could construct your games to feel more like authentic Japanese stories. But if you just want to cut people up with a katana, you can do that absolutely fine. Combat is pretty deadly. Once a weapon gets drawn, somebody's going to have a really, really bad day. So it is best to prepare, and that's really emphasized in the rules. When it does come to combat, I've moved all the bookkeeping stuff into its own phase. So after everyone's had a turn, you have what's called an environmental turn, which is stolen from Nerd Cognito's ideas. That's where you know, am I still on fire? Am I still poisoned? Do I get a disease from that animal that bit me? And also it allows the games master to step in and to make the battlefield more dynamic. So you could say the wind changes direction and the bamboo rustles behind you, or is it another attacker? And then you have to make a decision on what you're doing there. So that allows you to keep things flowing and moving to an extent. So the second book is Three Candle Crown, which is reference to a folkloric ritual where scorned wives would tip over a trivet pot holder, stick candles on the end, put it on their head, do a ritual, and turn themselves into a demon. So that's a reference to that. So here you'll find all your yokai. you'll find ghosts and spirits and monsters and the rules for the magic, which I've tried to give a much more Japanese flavor. Japanese folklore magic is a lot more like in Western magic, where you make a pact with a demon. It's a lot more like that, but a lot less drastic. So if you want to learn a foxfire spell, you will have to meet and ingratiate yourself with a fox spirit in order to learn it. So that's all that book. The third book is for people who want to play solo. That's Autumn Moon, because that's a big thing these days. But it's also very, very useful as a Games Master sort of resource and guide. It's chock full of tables and suggestions and ideas, so you can fairly quickly and easily roll up a random village or an NPC, or even a whole adventure scenario. You could use it to determine your character's background if you're coming up dry for ideas. You know, what social class you come from, what your parents did, how many siblings you have. It's all there if you want to use it, but obviously you don't necessarily have to use it. Aesthetically, I'm going to try and do all 3 books in square hardback format, and hopefully every piece of artwork, which is what the majority of the backing money will be going towards, will be in the sumi-e style, which is sort of Japanese ink and wash, watercolor sort of thing. So I really hope it's going to be a set of interesting aesthetic objects for people to own, and that reading through it will be an immersive experience in the same sort of way that Morkborg is, but much more readable, because it's going to be fairly minimalist. There's some informative videos on my main channel. If you want to go and check those out, I'll be doing more of those, probably a sort of series of explainers. And there's a bunch of playtest sessions on my Grim Streams channel. Is there armed martial arts? Yes, there is. If you know my Machinations of the Space Princess game, you may recognize some elements. So there's stunts. Anyone can do a stunt that they could realistically do, like try and trip someone up. You just get a penalty, but if you take stunts, you can offset that penalty, so you can become really good at tripping people up, or entangling weapons, or stunning blows, or whatever it is that you might want to do. And holy figures, such as monks and priests and so on, can also get access to abilities like mystic health, that sort of thing, because you hear all these stories about ascetic monks being incorruptible even when they die. So yes, it's not just an RPG book, it will be a piece of artwork as well. The main artist, hopefully, is the one who's done the 3-legged crow there, which isn't an AI artifact. It is a sort of crow spirit, a messenger from the sun god in Japanese mythology. So that's by Rowena Aitken, Scottish artist. She's done a bunch of stuff for Lamentations of the Flame Princess and a whole bunch of others. She hasn't really been that active in the role-playing world for a long time, but we stayed in touch because she helped me on some stuff back in the day, and I think she's doing a bang-up job, because it's been very hard to find artists. So difficult to find artists. I think that's about it. You can also buy all my other stuff, because I make a lot of stuff, over at post-mort.com.
Okay.
Did I miss anything?
I do feel like, since we were discussing the ethics earlier, and there has been a huge amount of turnover in the chat, I do need to mention that I did assist with setting up the Kickstarter, and I did the first edit on the first book. So.
Oh, that does remind me. Obviously, I'm doing the sort of press junket or whatever passes for that in role-playing circles. So if you have a blog or a YouTube channel or a podcast or whatever else, and you want me on to blather shite about my game, I'm happy to entertain you, even if it's just like you and the cat. That's fine. I will come on and talk.
Well, we will get you on for an indie game spotlight.
Definitely.
Because I love the aesthetic. I love what you're doing. I think it's really fascinating, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about it. So
Oh yeah.
so we will get that booked in, and we'll get that done because
Yeah.
I love the look of this.
It's the timing is good. So, if I remember correctly, you're shooting for late spring for delivery on all of this when it's done.
Yeah, I would hope to get it done before that, but you cautioned me, and then I remembered past experience where things have slipped, so I put a bit more slack into it. But
Yeah, Christmas destroys everything.
Yeah.
For us, so wipe that out. So yeah.
I'm very happy for all of you. Your passion really comes through in your presentations. Grim, the pig I spoke to, wasn't down for the head thing, but it did say you should put in bookmarks.
Fine. Stick your head in a wombat then.
So I, unfortunately, being up here in, the upper Northeast, it's very difficult for me to get to conventions, but we do have one that's about 2 hours away. That's, 4,000 or 5,000 people. So, it's a nice little convention. And I ran pretty much every session this week, and I asked them, if there'd been any feedback on the convention as a whole, and they said, yeah, we had a ton of people who were really requesting more historical games, and you ran the only one. So then Grim told me he was doing this, and I was like, oh, well, 'cause I was like, what else am I going to run that's historical? There just aren't a lot of historical games out there.
Yeah.
So hopefully the timing will be good. That can be one of my indie presentation games for next year. So thank you very much, Tank Ferret. I'm glad you managed to make it in. And yes, if people have not smashed the like button, I would greatly appreciate it. I want to thank everyone for being here. Vicky gets to be the giant head there for a second.
Don't put people off the stream, whatever you do.
But yeah, I want to thank everyone here. You all have done absolutely amazing work, and I think it's really great. I mean, on one hand, it's really neat to see so much stuff coming all at the same time. I hope it's not like a glut now and then. There's not a whole lot going forward. So, I also, Professor DM, did you say that you are going to be emceeing the Ennies this year? Oh, we got no sound again.
I think that was a nod, though. So.
All right. Yeah, I'm trying to get the creator for The Sickest Witch to come on and do an Ennies episode. So, if you know anybody else that's nominated for Ennies that might want to come on, let me know. I want to thank everyone in the chat. You have all been incredibly chatty, so you've done your job very well. And thank you very much to the panel. Thank you.
Oh, look at that.
August 31st, 8 p.m. All right. Everyone have an absolutely wonderful night. Tomorrow I will be on Roman of the Empire's channel, I think. He's taking a long hiatus because apparently the heat is like melting the equipment in his studio. So he's taking a break until the heat calms down a little bit. Is anyone going to be anywhere else that we should know about? I mean, except that Professor DM is, hosting the Ennies.
Vicky on Friday is doing her Legion of Myth GMI panel.
Okay.
They're fun, guys. Legion of Myth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Sweet.
It's a second one, so any support you can give her in the chat would be greatly appreciated.
Absolutely.
Flying solo without Dean as well.
Yes.
He's going to be
You'll be
tucked up
fine.
in bed.
You will absolutely nail it.
All right, so everyone go download Untold Destiny. Go do the notification thing for Stray Crows and go back Deathbringer. Pendover says, the Eclectic Goat, hello and goodbye. And next week we will be back, same bat time, same bat channel, talking Warhammer. It's going to be the first time I have ever actually done a minis episode. So bring your minis. And have a great night and happy headbutting.
Good.
It's a fucking goat!
Eclectic Goat's got videos of indie authors and cinema love. A passion for the weird and the strange. She's snappily dressed and only slightly deranged. Come and meet the Eclectic Goat, lover of classics and whiskey notes, disciple of horror and the written word. Happy headbutting, come join the herd. Shows might be a little improper. We've got real zombie, fake whizzes the otter, pizza in one hoof, glass in the other, deciding which role-playing games we will cover. Come and meet the Eclectic Goat, lover of classics and whiskey notes, disciple of horror and the written word. Happy headbutting, come join the herd. Got a thing for black and white screens, crappy horror with low budget scenes. Choose on the history, spits out the law. Time for another whiskey pour. Come and meet the Eclectic Goat, lover of classics and whiskey notes, disciple of horror and the written word. Happy headbutting, come join the